what's up? It's All-Star Racing, ASRTV, back with you for another race, Las Vegas this week for All-Star Racing League, week two. I want to say Mike is back in the booth with us, like weekly. So Mike's here with me, myself, Cody Webster. We're going to be broadcasting this whole entire race for you and commentating everything that goes on. Um, so with that being said, we are in qualifying right now for the trucks. I'll pull it up in a second. Mike, anything you want to say before we head into this qualifying session and the race?
Well, I mean, for those people who have been watching the streams for a little while, your eyes are not deceiving you. Yes, we're right back here at Vegas after being here only 2 weeks ago. Kind of a unique structure to the schedule going into season three. We are kind of coming back to this track, and it's going to present a unique opportunity for the drivers who were here last season to maybe get their footing under them and rebound from what may have been a shaky Daytona, or for the drivers who came in, some of the new faces here, give them a chance to extend their momentum that they gained last week at Daytona. So this is really going to maybe give us a good picture of what the rest of the season may look like, who some of our front runners might be as we go through the season, who are some of the people to watch, and for the drivers who are maybe on the outside looking in, maybe give them an idea of where they need to improve as we go through the rest of the schedule, because these few races coming up are going to be pretty demanding for these drivers.
Yeah, it definitely is. But this is like the real start of the season at the Daytona, so it's really going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. We mentioned that, you know, the best guys are going to rise to the top in the points, so this is going to be really to set the tone as we had to. I mean, Dover's kind of different next week, but then we go to Texas, another mile and a half, so it's going to be, the first three races are definitely going to show who's, you know, up top and who's not. So, with that being said, before we continue anything, and check in who's fastest in qualifying right now, I want to thank Lionheart Junk Removal for recognizing us. They are on board for potential sponsorship, so they are on the bottom of the screen. Lionheart Junk Removal. I got to thank Zach Hillman for getting us worked out with that. So be sure to check them out when you get a chance, and I appreciate them recognizing us. So now qualifying. So now we're here, ready to look who's start first and go
Yeah,
from there.
the results are still pouring in, about 2 minutes left in qualifying still. And what I'm looking at right now is kind of comparing where everyone is from the first open qualifying session we had here in the league. Never done it before. We've had such a high turnout last race, had open qualifying throughout the week leading up to today's race. And right now, I'm kind of looking for those drivers who performed very well in that qualifying session that we had throughout the weeks and how they're doing here. So we're seeing some of those names we saw toward the front of that list, like Bryson Clark, our season two champion, and the winner here 2 weeks ago. He's rising toward the top. And other drivers, like we're seeing BJ Deal, he's having a strong run in qualifying right now. So there's a good mix of drivers here. I'm going to point out a couple that kind of jump out to me right now. Currently on the pole, the 24 truck of Corey Blevins ran a 30.259. What's interesting about him is he caught the pole here 2 weeks ago here at Las Vegas and had some issues on pit road. So for him, I feel like his race really didn't come to fore as he expected it to. He had some pit road issues and then got tangled up with some cars there on the front stretch, which I'll talk about later. And he really didn't get the result he was looking for. So this could be a chance for redemption for not only him, but other drivers who raced here last season who are trying to make a better name for themselves going through the course of the season. Looking for some of those names we didn't see here that we saw here last season. A lot of those veterans haven't showed up here tonight, but we're seeing a huge turnout from what we consider the rookies, some of the new faces here in the league. So should be interesting seeing how this shakes out with a lot of these newbies taking on the veterans and maybe trying to grab the points that that the veterans might be able to get because they have the experience here.
Yeah, actually, speaking of veterans, one veteran we do not see is Jason Odom. It sucks because he was fast until something happened late, literally really late in the going. He's not here.
Yeah,
They're dealing with I think power outages where he lives,
right.
so
And
we'll be
as
missing
these
him.
things happen, I had him down as one of my favorites to watch here because he was so fast here in the regular season. Led 43 laps here last season when we closed out season two. Strong run until he had his issues right there at the end of the race. He was one of my ones to watch, but now we're seeing a crazy battle toward the front of
I
the standings right
prefer
now. Looks like Jeffrey Meyer, Mark Brannigan, Willie Everham, all battling for that pole position there. Only a few thousand separating those drivers. Willie Everham, the 91, kind of fitting their 91 for Everham there. Sitting on the top right now with 30.225. Jeffrey Meyer not far behind, 30.231, and a tie right there for that front row, but putting him back in third, Mark Brannigan, your winner from Daytona. Yeah, he's your winner. He's at a 30.231 as well.
Yeah, Mark has actually been pretty excited going, being the Daytona winner. We didn't get to interview him last week, but he's been posting all over Instagram and stuff like that, saying how he's so happy that he won. He's ready to move on to Las Vegas, and we talked like how these guys that won or like finished well, how they're gonna be going forward. Because obviously Daytona's very you get lucky. You just to finish and then to win, it's all about luck. Yeah, it's some skill, but mostly luck. So it was interesting to see how they would stack up going forward. And looks like Mark, I guess they did their homework, and he's third right now. So
I mean, of the guys who ran really well at Daytona and kind of had the cards fall in their favor, not to make a Las Vegas joke this early into the broadcast, but to have things go their way, here we're seeing those drivers like Willie Evernham, like Mark Brannigan, Will Rodemer, all these guys who had pretty decent runs last week. Even BJ Deal, some of these drivers who had great runs last week, now we're seeing them kind of try to bring that momentum over here. And that's really something I was trying to stress earlier as we have another jump at the pole. Gregory Thompson in the 08 jumps to a 30.211. So there's still anyone's ball game right now as everyone plays to the weather here at Las Vegas trying to get the pole. As I was saying, everyone's trying to get those points and keep that momentum going. Like we mentioned, Daytona can be such a track that can play to luck. You can get lucky and get a great finish there, but it's about carrying that momentum of, yeah, I got to finish last week. Now it's about taking that momentum and bringing it here to a track that you're going to probably see in some form or similar to over the course of the schedule. So like you mentioned, we're here this week, we're going to Dover next week, and then we're going to Texas. So getting ready for these high bank tracks, these fast tracks, got to get that momentum going from last week and carry it into this stretch of tough races.
yeah, it's gonna be definitely interesting to see. As I think we're winding down. I think we have like 2 minutes left in
Yeah,
qualifying.
only got
Um,
2 minutes left, and
well,
it's been crazy seeing the times just bounce around these
and it's
charts.
close because all the way back to 14th is only 10th, and even 23rd is 2.5 tenths. So it is mighty close up in the
And
top.
some of the cars are running faster than they did during the course of those several qualifying sessions that were hosted during the week leading up to today's race. So the cars are getting faster. It's all about the timing and the condition of the track that helps the drivers. I've noticed here the temperature has fluctuated a bit, but right now we're sitting just a few degrees under the century mark. So very warm track, slick out there. And hearing some of the drivers earlier before we got into the broadcast, they're talking about how when the sun comes out, it's really transforming how these trucks drive. So it's really going to be a tale of two trucks while they're out there. 1 minute it may be handling great and you can just power into those corners, and the next minute it may just want to slide up on you and go straight into the billboards in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, the track changing is gonna definitely be what gonna throw everybody for a loop. I guess you want to say. Because all it
Yeah,
takes is because we've seen in practice, it started at 101 or 102 degrees, and then I think it dropped all the way to 82, and then it was back up to 90 something. So
right.
it's gonna happen in the race. It's dynamic weather, so and it's gonna throw people for a loop.
Like I said, in past races I've seen here, both running and now watching from kind of above, you can sometimes get that situation of a tale of two tracks where it's cloudy in one section and the truck feels great in one section of the track, but then you go on the other side of it, maybe through 3 and 4 or even the front stretch, and it feels very different. So it's about adapting on the fly as you're running these trucks. Again, fixed setup, so they can't really tweak the trucks from where they are now. It's about adjusting your driving style more than anything and being aware of the track conditions and preparing for them and responding to them at the right time and not overreacting. That could probably get someone to victory lane here today.
Yeah, we actually just heard. I just heard from John Platt. He just said he messed up in qualifying. He only ran 2 laps. He got 4 laps, and obviously, you go quicker the longer you go. So,
Gotta pay attention to these things,
yeah,
guys. Gotta pay attention to them.
he
These
knew he
things
was already
happen.
in
I've
the
been
back.
there. Been there before. Let's give you a quick rundown of the top 10 right quick. Gregory Thompson nabs the pole in the last few seconds of that qualifying session. Willie Everham second, Jeffrey Meyer third, Mark Brannigan fourth, Russell McCarron in fifth. 6 through 10 look like this. Corey Blevins, your pole sitter from last season, he's going to fall back to sixth spot. BJ Deal, Bryson Clark, your season 2 champion in seventh. Brad Allison, Eric Heater, and Carl Hanworth rounding out everything there. So pretty diverse field up there. We see some of the veterans represented, but we see a lot of new faces toward the front. So this is going to make this a very interesting, a very dynamic race once we get going here. Remember, 20 laps shorter than we ran here 2 weeks ago. So a shorter race, too, a little more compact than we had last week. Sorry, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, a shorter race, a lot more guys. So
absolutely.
It shouldn't be that long a race, but hey, never know.
We got things to watch out for. We got some, like I said, it's going to be an interesting field here. We got some great names up here. We've got a lot of the veterans represented. Great to see Jeffrey Meyer up here. Great to see Bryson Clark kind of rebounding from last week. But how are they going to be able to race against these guys who are just as strong as them? We got the Daytona 500 or Daytona 150 winner on the second row there on the 6th. There's so many dynamics here that are going to play so many factors in this race. And it's going to be interesting to see as this track continues to change, as we just crossed 100 degrees for that track surface. As this track continues to change, how are these drivers going to adapt to it and adapt to it in such a way that there are 30 cars out here nearly, or at 30. There are a lot of cars out here on the track. Is there going to be much give and take? When is the giving and taking going to stop? How polite is everyone going to be? And of course, we'll be watching that caution clock as well. Caution count. There is no caution clock here. That is not a thing that will be here in the All-Star League. Let's not talk about the caution clock. Oof. You remember the caution clock?
No, caution clock.
Remember that? That was a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's not do that here. And the cars are rolling here. It should be a 1 to green situation, so time to gear up for another visit to Las Vegas. We told the drivers who were running here last season, leave your trucks here because we're coming right back. So we're seeing some of those strong trucks from last race make their appearance here, but there are some faster people who are new ahead of them. So I'm very excited to see how this race goes over these upcoming 80 laps.
Definitely going to be
Good luck, guys.
definitely going to be entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah, good luck, everyone. Let's have fun.
I mean, I personally like watching Las Vegas. I think it's, of the cookie cutters that I think we're going to this season, it's one of the more unique ones where I really feel like it's a driver's track. It's not a track where you can just kind of sit in the line and protect the line. The line moves and it's dynamic as we run this race. So it's going to be interesting.
I agree. Look at the pack.
Yeah, it's a great looking group of trucks there. Hopefully a lot of those trucks look like the condition they're in as we finish this race, but as they kind of cruise through turns 3 and 4, looking very good right now, waiting for that pace car to make that hard left turn onto pit road. Ready for the race, sir?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to have some fun, ready to enjoy this whole entire race.
Well, pace car is about to make that left turn. The field is under the control of the green flag stand, waiting for everything to go green. They go green right now, under control of the league. Then the restarts are controlled by the leader every time after that. But right now, the 08 of Gregory Thompson pulls out front, and they are 2 by 2 going into turns 1 and 2 for the first time this evening. Looking like they're about to single file up a bit toward the front 3, and then it's 2 by 2 stacked up as they go down the Nellis straightaway right now. Seeing everyone kind of just settle in, seeing where their trucks want to go right now. Generally, the first about 5 laps or so, you want to kind of ride that low side, and then, as I mentioned before we started, the line shifts and moves up toward that higher side of the track as Gregory Thompson will lead lap 1 with Jeffrey Meyer moving up to second.
Yeah, a lot of racy trucks in here. A lot of guys trying to move up. Looking back in the pack, John Platt did have some problems in qualifying. You better get 3 wide early trying to get up some spots.
It's all about using your stuff when you can. If you have the stuff to use now, sometimes you got to go for it and just start getting up there and getting the track position you need to get now, not waiting and everything like that. Those same cliches you hear when you watch NASCAR racing television. It's about getting to the front. So for someone like Jonathan, who maybe didn't get quite the qualifying run he wanted, go ahead and use those tires now, try and get a few spots, and then settle in and protect your spot and hope for that first caution to be able to maybe kind of get yourself settled in. Looking back toward the front, we see the 50 was trying to peek there, see what he could see under the 08 of Gregory Thompson. Got back in line there as he ride through turns 3 and 4. One truck back to the 91 of Willie Everham, and they're 2x2 going through the trioval behind them for fifth. Sorry, for fourth spot.
Look out for BJ Deal. He's in fourth to record with that.
BJ Deal has, when he raced in this league in season 1, he was one of the strongest drivers on these 1.5 mile tracks, and going back to when we used to race, it was generally myself, you, and BJ Deal who would just really have strong performances here on these mile and a half. So seeing him back here in the 3 truck at Crosley Toyota there, he's going to be someone that they're going to need to contend with as this race goes on. While Gregory Thompson continues to lead here as we're 5 laps in to this lovely visit to hot Las Vegas.
It'll be interesting to see once the tires start wearing and who can actually keep the tires and the truck underneath them. It's going to be hard to pass because, you know, does someone have problems in the back?
I don't know. I've been monitoring the battle with the champion there, seeing what he's doing there in the 17 truck. He's moving up some spots now. You'll keep me posted on what you see back there, but right now they're battling toward the front there. That's the Daytona 150 winner, Mark Brannigan, and the 17 of Bryson Clark. They're fighting for position there within the top 10. The 28 trying to get involved. That's Eric Heater, and a whole herd of trucks watching this whole thing unfold in front of them as they all ride down the Nellis straightaway.
Yeah, it looks like John Platt just got into the wall.
Well, here's to catch everyone up here who may be new to the league. Everyone does get a couple fast repairs, so your race is not over because you hit the wall, but it is a setback during a run like this where everyone's kind of settling in here. When I say settle in, I mean they're not wrecking each other. We're not under caution because we're about 7 laps in. We're seeing the 50. He brushed the wall there, trying to go for the lead on the outside. It looks like that's going to cost him a couple spots as the 91 and the 30 will make the move on the inside to grab those spots. That's a situation where the truck just seems like it feels like you can make the corner, like you're able to kind of cut that wheel and get up there and maximize that run off the corner, but you just run out of real estate, and that can get you in that wall really quick. I wonder if that's what's happened to Jonathan Platt back there further in the field, but highlighting the 50, he's working to try and stay next to the 3 there as they battle through turns 1 and 2. He's getting real close to that wall, trying to be a little more careful this time, but he's under the attack of the 23 of Russell McCarron.
50, say how you're blinking.
Now, right now, this is kind of what someone like Gregory Thompson wants to see. It seems like his truck is very stable right now. He's moving from the low side on the apron on the tri-oval and able to roll through these corners very consistently, especially now that he doesn't have the pressure of Jeffrey Meyer right behind him. Maybe that relaxed him a little, but he's running a very solid line right now in these early goings here, 9 laps into the race here at Vegas. Looking back further in the field, business is not settling down. Toward the back of the field, things are still pretty busy back there, probably about, I'd say, 11th on back. Things are pretty tightly packed there, battling for position. Again, trying to get the most out of these tires as the track gets a little dimmer here. The clouds are rolling in. Again, like I mentioned earlier, this is something the drivers will be seeing just like we are. They will need to be adapting to how this track is changing when these clouds roll in. Expecting that temperature to drop some, expecting the grip levels to go up a little bit, and really be able to maybe drive the trucks a little differently. And maybe that'll benefit some of these guys who may be struggling right now, and maybe that might hurt some of these guys who would prefer the track be cloaked in full sunlight right now. I'm looking toward the, things are getting real racy up there, a little further ahead of the field. They're seeing the 03, the 04 race each other pretty hard there. The 28 and the 16, the 18 there through turns 1 and 2. They're battling side by side, so there's a lot of side-by-side battles here right now as we see the 18 get clear of the 28 there. Highlighting another driver that we saw earlier, had a great qualifying run. He's trying to make his way back toward the front is Corey Blevins there in the 24 truck. He's looking good on the inside there, the 17 of our Season 2 champion, Bryson Clark, working on the 50 of Jeffrey Meyer, who got into the wall earlier. He's going to try and get these spots. He's working on the inside there. Looks like he's going to continue use that inside line. We're kind of at that window where the line shift is beginning to occur. So we're seeing drivers like the 17 there get that run off the hill there, and able to pull away from the 24 and maintain that position. Seeing him trying to go into the 50 there, Jeffrey Meyer. We got a whole 2 more cars behind him, the 18 and the 28, trying to get in on this battle here.
Now, all this racing is really helping the front four. They have really gapped.
Absolutely.
Now that it's almost like a tandem racing now. Look at them. It's crazy how it's all working right now. But they're racing clean and hard.
That's the nature of racing here at Vegas. I mean, if you can really get up behind a car in the early going to the race, not really battle each other, maybe try and break away, those cars will break away from the pack here, and it'll make it harder for those cars further back to catch them. As we see here, they look like the kind of an issue there. Got some cars stacking up on the front stretch. Bryson Clark involved in that, and that'll be our first caution of the evening. Looks like they kind of just ran out of real estate there coming off 4, and I'm going to go ahead and point out something here as I try and get an understanding of kind of what happened there. Yeah, it looks like they ran out of some racing room there, and that's what we see here when these trucks really start to wear. These tires start to go.
They were held.
The truck slides up more, and we're going to kind of look at this here. Looks like as the 17 was coming up there, the 18 was there. Might have been, you could say, netcode, maybe not, but looks like there was some sort of contact there, and that just really hooked that 17 truck.
I want to say that's probably netcode.
It probably was netcode, but I'll go ahead and say that was still a good save, even though a couple more trucks did get involved in that. It was still a good save to make that a lot less severe than a crash it could have been. Because that could have been like a situation where that 17 truck turned clear across the front of the field there, very close to the top 10. So there was a whole herd of cars behind him. Good hand to try and mitigate the impact that wreck would have had on the field there, as we're under caution here for the first time today.
Caution will be caused of netcode. Looked at it twice, and that is going to be the ruling. No ELO.
So, of course, we'll be getting some race control information throughout the course of this race. But for right now, we're worried about pit road and seeing these guys come on for the first time today on lap 15 approaching 16. It'll be Gregory Thompson in the 08 leading them on, with Willie Everhand, the 3 of BJ Deal, Russell McCara, and Corey Blevins there in the top 5. So I think this is a situation here where you get your 4 tires and get some fuel in that car and go ahead and just get yourself mentally thinking about the possibility that this race could go green to the end and what that means for your fuel situation. Because fuel is always a thing when you come to these 1.5-mile tracks, and there are some great fuel strategy players here in this league. Some who aren't here racing tonight but are known for their performance, like Kevin Foster. There are plenty of others who have gotten wins here thanks to fuel strategy. So it'll be interesting to see over the course of this run how drivers approach the strategy here.
As we look at the end of pit road right now, we're going to see the battle off with the 08, the 91, BJ Deal, 3.
Yeah, 08 uncontested there off pit road. A little bit of a battle there for the 3rd spot, but like pretty quiet exit of pit road for everybody. Looking at the pit stop times, everyone took 4 tires and fuel. No one here looks like they took 2 tires. Looking at the times, the fastest stop looking like a 13.8. I'm looking at that wrong. I'm sorry, 13.3 back there and 13th for Eric Andrews, but to get the lead back and maintain it, that was Gregory Thompson with a 13.8. And I apologize, I didn't see Kevin Foster on my roster. Kevin Foster is here this evening, and he's out front right now.
Yeah, he's doing what he does best, stay out, lead a lap, and then probably going to pit this time by.
Every point matters, and let's go ahead and go over that for a minute while we're here on the caution. When you have these big fields here, every point's going to matter because you cannot throw away a point. So getting out there and leading a lap there in the 83 truck, new colors for him, that white Budweiser truck, great for him. So it should be interesting trying to see him come back through the field and now make a run toward the front. Someone like him, maybe a quick caution will help him maybe try and get some of that track position back. But we'll see how things shake out for his strategy right now.
Trying to get my trading pace for whatever reason they would not work.
Well, while we're still on the caution here, lap 17, I want to bring up something that is an exact example of what we saw here to bring out that caution. And I was going to point out that section of track there, basically turn 4 through the heart of the tri-oval and right before the entry of turn 1, before we even really get into the corner. I kind of marked that as like a kind of calamity tri-oval area, because if you look back at our previous race here a couple weeks ago, that is where we saw a lot of the accidents happen, because for some reason, especially when the tires begin to wear, the car wants to just chase up the track. Wants to chase up the track a lot. And that can cause the door to close on those guys who may be in the middle or even the high side really quickly, and cause what we saw one race, which was a huge stack up there toward the front. That caused a huge pile up there off turn 4. And then more on the tri-oval, people battle for that tri-oval apron there to try and maintain the momentum. And it's up to the driver on the outside to try and block that, try and nerf that, and prevent that from happening. And we saw a few instances back here 2 weeks ago where drivers would come down the track to maybe block that run, but that truck is already making that run on the inside on the apron, and there's not quite enough room to make the block, and they end up going around and collecting themselves. So really watch those two areas, turn 4 and from turn 4 all the way to about the entry of turn 1. That's going to be a really tricky area for these drivers to tackle as we are 1 to green here for the first restart of this race.
It's going to be interesting.
Leader dictates right now, right? I thought it,
Yes.
Lose your train of thought there?
Nah,
Good talk, sir.
They were trying to figure out if leader dictate the start, and I had to say yes to them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, we're gonna. It's gonna be interesting to see how all this works out. What are we, 18 laps in, something like that?
When the leaders come to green, it'll be 19 laps in, so we're already nearly a quarter way through this race, and it's clicked off really comfortably. I think that's why there's going to be some urgency for some of these drivers on this restart to try and get that track position, because these laps are clicking off really quickly. That last run was about 15, 16 laps, so time is running out very quickly for these drivers to make track position up, and maybe getting involved in a late incident like this could hamper chances. Early incident like this could hamper your chances to get to the front later in this race. So track position is so key. All right, pace car is making that hard left turn on the pit road. Field is under control of Gregory Thompson, who has already hit the road. They are about basically single file toward the inside. We see the 3 of BJ Deal getting that run on the apron there. That's what I was talking about earlier. Like the 04 thinks he's back at Daytona, giving him a push there going into turns 1 and 2. So the 3 and the 04, guys, this maybe feels like a restrictor plate track, but it isn't. But whatever works to get you to the front. BJ Deal moves a second. The 04, a little contact there.
In-car in the 04. He's running hard right now.
That was one of those moves you only see maybe toward the end of the race, and we're seeing it on lap 19. So it worked, and it got them to P2 and P3, but Gregory Thompson continues to maintain the lead here at Las Vegas. And they're still racing toward the front, waiting for the caution here, and now we're back on the caution on lap 20 here at Las Vegas. Things settle out. For a driver like, I'd say, BJ Deal and Ezekiel Reyes, that was an awesome move to get yourselves to that position, because now you have that quick caution, settle down, restart things, and get yourself maybe to challenge the leader up there, Gregory Thompson, who has just been kind of in a class of his own right now during the course of this race. Can you give us a briefing on what happened there, Cody?
I'm looking for it right this second. I'm trying to figure out. I seen it happen. Don't know. I think it was a 0-1.
No wreck in the back.
0. We're gonna take a look at this.
pace car in the backstretch. Pace car in the backstretch.
0-1-0 just came up. They're blinking. I don't know.
So while you take a look at that, just going to quickly touch on the 08 there. Looking at the lap times here, he's still pacing pretty dang fast right now. His best lap is a 30.330. That's the fastest on the scoring chart right now. A lot of those fast cars are still in the top 5, and it looks like BJ Deal is not far off. He ran a 30.352, so BJ Deal might be someone at the 08's going to have to worry about. See what these drivers do going to pit road, and it looks like keep an eye on things. We know how they like to make that hard cut back onto the track, but the 08 is going to go on pit road. The leader is going to go ahead and bring his car on the pit road, so interesting to see what he's thinking about doing right now. We'll monitor his... Maybe so. We'll monitor his pit stop, see what he does here, see if he goes for 4 tires or just maybe some fuel, because those tires don't have a lot of laps on them. We'll see what he does, but he's going to be a lonely man there on pit road.
Yeah, he will be. It
So
looks like
monitoring...
BJ Deal will be taking over the top spot.
That's only, what, our third different leader this race, with Gregory Thompson leading, and then the 83 there, or Kevin Foster, getting some laps in. So full 4-tire stop there for Gregory Thompson. So maybe he's just thinking, look, I want to get some fresh tires on here. I feel like I have a truck that can get through the field. I just need to play it careful, because again, only 2 fast repairs. Don't want to get yourself in too much trouble. But hey, maybe I can work my way through this field, and I'll be on a different fuel strategy than the guys in front of me, because every lap's going to matter here.
lap to see how this all works out.
So I'll go ahead.
I'll just briefly say thank you guys for coming out and watching us. We got like 14 viewers, so I appreciate it again. Really thankful. We're doing our best. And I also do want to still thank While Under Caution, Lionheart and Junk Removal coming on board with us. Appreciate that. And we're just continuing to grow with this league, so we're doing our best.
Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Just waiting for the scoring to update here so we can get the quick cross section of what the top 10 looks like. Going to give you the first few as we get things refreshed here. So BJ Deal is going to be your leader here in the 3 truck. Then Ezekiel Ray's there in second place. Carl Hamwork in third. Willie Evernham in fourth. And Corey Blevins in fifth. 6 through 10 are Brad Allison, Russell McCarron, Chase Scholda, Eric Andrews, and Jeffrey Meyer. So, yet again, another mix of new faces and some of the veteran guys. Looking for some drivers like Bryson Clark. He's back there. Having some issues now, like he's trying to recover from that earlier incident for the first caution. He's back in 21st place according to the current scoring. So looks like he's having a little bit of a rough go right now, but fortunate for him, there's still plenty of time left in this race to get that truck back where he wants it to be. But kind of an uphill battle right now for that team to start the season.
And we're going to look at the 08 who did pit, and one of the lone front guys to pit, he is back. It looks like in 18th, I want to say, back there with his buddy John Platt. No, 19th, my bad. Johnson 20th, and Bryson Clarkson 21st. So,
I mean, we could say that Gregory Thompson's pretty deep in the field, but he's been first. So if he fell back to second, I'd say he's deep in the field. So let's keep an eye on him to see how he works through this traffic to try and get back to the front. But also on the flip side, let's watch that 3 truck and that 04 truck there. Watch those guys to see how they take advantage of the fact that now they don't have to battle for that spot. So now all they have to do is race each other. They don't have to worry about trying to get around Gregory Thompson. Now they can focus on maybe trying to pull away and get some laps there for themselves.
Well, this is the time of race where we had the first 15, 14 laps green, and we had a quick caution. Now, is it going to be caution-free caution, or is it going to go green again? That's the key right here. I don't know if that extra lap on tires is really going to hurt the guys, but you don't know. So we're going to have to see.
You don't know, because you never can predict at this track when we're going to have that long green flag run. We generally always have some form of a long green flag run here. If we do have that, that's when that tire difference will start to come into play. But at this stage, I think if we continue to have these very short, kind of medium runs, maybe a little over 10 laps per run, then those tires don't become as big of a factor. So we'll see how things shake out here. The drivers are slowly making their way through turns 3 and 4. They're at 60 miles an hour. Quick recap, BJ Deal is your leader, so he will be in control of the field as we wait for the pace car to make the hard left turn on the pit road.
And we're going to go in cockpit to watch him start this race. See how he gets through the gears and how he gets into turn 1.
All right, pace car is on the pit road. The field is under his control, and he is in the gas, and we're back green here at Las Vegas on lap 25.
Short shifted big time.
So he's able to pull away a little bit there, and the 18 is working on the 04. That car that bumped the 03 kind of to the position he's in now. The 04 battling with the 18, and they're stacked up kind of mixed up back there a little further back, a little thinned out more than we've seen in past restarts. But things are kind of fanning out a bit as people try to find their grooves going into these corners. You really kind of throw that truck into these corners, setting up for that next corner. So you're kind of getting off 2, setting up for 3. That's what we're seeing here.
As we look back in the pack, we still see Gregory Thompson racing with 32 Terry Condas and 34 of Andy.
Look at that battle. There's some 3 wide back there. Things are really getting very intense back there in the kind of middle stage of this race. And a lot of great drivers there in that field. Like I said, Terry Condas, you're one of your championship contenders from last season. Jonathan Platt, another strong runner, your champion back there. And Gregory Thompson just trying to get away from that group a little bit. So a lot of great cars back there, but they're all jockeying for the same space on the racetrack. So definitely want to keep our eye on that battle.
Looks like BJ Deal pulled away a little bit over the 18 of Carl Hamwork. He actually had a good run last week, very, very fast in that 18 Toyota Tundra.
Well, like I said, I was looking at the scoring there, looking at the lap times for BJ Dillon. He's really fast, and now looking at the charts, we're seeing Carl Hangworth. He's running fast up there. Like I said, we're seeing some times as this track begins to cool down. We're about 7 degrees off how hot this track was at the start, and we're seeing the times begin to pick up. And we're seeing some twos get dropped. We just saw Mark Brannigan back there in 13th. He just dropped a 30.245. Nick Miller just dropped a 30.241. So the times are getting faster here as this track gets cooler. Carl Hamburg just dropped a 30.286, which is faster than BJ Dillon's best lap. So you might be seeing the effect of the draft there, but also the changing conditions of this track. Especially that cool covered front stretch, playing into how these guys are making their runs here over the course of this race.
Carl Hangworth, that draft, they did come out with a new drafting suck-up package, and it's definitely pulling Carl up to BJ big time, so it's going to be interesting to see how that all works out, as Carl looks like he's trying to take his 18 Tundra to the front, trying to make a move on BJ. BJ tries to hold.
Looks like he's trying to bait him into maybe moving out of his groove and get the 18 truck down there where he wants it to go and where he feels comfortable with it. You notice he was kind of like twitching that truck a little bit going into turn one, just really trying to get BJ to bite and maybe move off his groove to get him to go where he wants to. But yet again, looking at the times here, I'll keep an eye on this as we watch these guys go nose to tail, entering lap 31. Let's see, keep an eye on things here. So basically, they are running identical lap times right now at the front as we see the 18 challenge for the lead there. They're side by side coming off the corner, slide up a little bit by the 18 there, barely kissing the wall. I could probably feel some particles of paint coming off there. Still side by side coming off into turns 3 and 4. But he's barely got an edge on him. They're still going to fight going down into the... looks like the three maybe relented there just a little bit. Looking at the big picture, that puts him back to second. Carl Hangworth moves to first. But let's not count out drivers like Ezekiel Reyes and Corey Blevins back there in third and fourth, because as these guys were battling, they were clicking on some pretty quick times themselves.
I gotta say, I've raced myself with Ezekiel Reyes and Victor Room and stuff, and he's a fast guy. Never count him out. He's running well right now. So he's good with these trucks. We'll see how well he does as the race goes in the latter part of the stages.
Yeah, we're coming up on roughly halfway. We're still a little ways off, but halfway is approaching. And just looking through the field right now, people are getting faster. And now we're kind of seeing that track position maybe was the most important thing, because if you look back at drivers like Gregory Thompson, Gregory is back there in 16th. And for him, that just shows that maybe it's a struggle trying to get back to the front. Even if we have those fresh tires, we see another battle for the lead here. BJ Dillon trying to come back on the, make a run there on the 18 truck as we're back under caution. So guys, calm it down. We're back under caution here on lap 34. Take a breather, settle in. That was some great racing there. I think this caution could benefit drivers maybe like Gregory Thompson. Maybe they can find some way to make some time on pit road. But man, there are some new faces here at the front, and they're making a claim that they want to win this race here at Vegas.
I thought I was going to get.
That was on, it looks like the 28.
While Cody's checking in on that. Gearing up for likely another set of pit stops here. Probably we'll see plenty of takers. Looking like a lot of the leaders, they're about 19 laps into their run on their tires and fuel, so fine time for them to go ahead and bring their trucks on. So that's about a quarter of the race right there that they got on those tires. We see everyone coming to pit road, led by Carl Hangworth, BJ Deal, Corey Blevins, Russell McCarron, Willie Evernham. They're in fifth. Whew, so those things were fun at the front, so now we're going to see how this new front pack handles running together on these fresh tires now. We got drivers like Gregory Thompson trying to get themselves back in the picture, so while he's not in the picture, now you have to stake claim to why you should be considered the winner here at Las Vegas, and we'll see how that shakes out first with pit stops here. It'd be great if I stopped hitting my mic, but
it's all good.
So right now, seeing first trucks lead to pit road. Looks like the 23 got out there. He had a 9-second pit stop, so that is indicative of 2 tires there for that truck, and then a lot of 4-tire trucks behind them. So looks like some tire strategy coming into play here. Maybe banking on the fact that this race has really featured a lot of racing where we're only going green for maybe 15, 18 laps.
Well,
and then we pit again.
Look when he took 2 tires at. Lap 40 is the halfway mark.
It's all about, again, update everybody. So unlike what we had last season,
How's it going, Kev?
there is no stage caution, even though we're under caution near halfway. We will go back green, but
Is there a caution?
there will not be a stage caution. Wherever someone is running at the time of the halfway point, which is lap 40, those top 10 drivers will receive those stage points. So for a driver like the 23 there, Russell McCarron, that's a good idea, because that's some track position maybe that you can grab, or even... I don't want to say anything negative, but maybe, as we see Andrew Gunther, like he cycled around. Actually, he stayed out, so switch him out. These two drivers, they're battling for stage points. That's a stage point move right there. You're hoping that as many people pit so you can cycle around and get that position as possible. You may not be able to hold a lead, and I think it's going to be an interesting situation for these drivers on these old tires, particularly the 59 there on 21 lap old tires, Russell McCarron on 2 lap old tires there because he only took 2. Seeing how they handle the fact that 2 of the fastest trucks, or 3 of the fastest trucks in this race right now, and Carl Hamworth, Jeffrey Meyer, BJ Deal, these drivers are all really fast. Jeffrey Meyer, another one of those trucks that took 2 tires as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. Well, you still have 28 trucks running. Surprising is it, but we have to see how Ezekiel Reyes comes back up. He had a fast truck, but the reason why he got caught up in a little bit of a mishap, he actually got the wall off of turn 2 and it slowed him up going into turn 3. And the 28 really slid up, had nowhere to go, and got into him. So that's unfortunate. And that was his own teammate too. Unfortunately.
And that's such a common thing here in Las Vegas when these tires start getting old. They just you want to run the truck so wide off those corners because you want to just keep that momentum up. You want to keep that truck wound up off those corners. And sometimes you're kind of playing follow the truck in front of you and follow the leader because you want to keep that run going if you're not actually battling with them. And sometimes you end up following right into the path of another truck that maybe hit the wall, because that wall does kind of pull you in and slow you down after you hit it. So sometimes you are just a passenger at that point, and when a car does that in front of you, you really don't have anywhere to go. So we're halfway through this race. Fast repair still exists. Well, we're just short of halfway as we get ready to get the 1 to green. But there's still time to make this up, but time is running out. This race is clicking off really quickly.
And quickly it is taking off, and we got new leaders. I think we've already had 5 different leaders. 6 different
This should be our 4th different leader at least. I haven't been keeping the best track, but I'm pretty sure this is our 4th different leader here
you had
so
Kevin
far.
that stayed out. You had the 08 leading. You had the 3, the 18.
So that should be our 5th leader here.
Yeah.
So we're seeing that lead move around. Now, mind you, we had 10 lead changes among 10 different drivers last time we came here at the end of the season 2 weeks ago. So we'll see how that shakes out during the second half of this race, but we have a restart to look out for as we wait for the pace car to make that hard left turn. And this restart has implications because the stage will be ending, and we'll get those mid-race stage points here in a few laps. So we'll see what happens here. The field under the control of Andrew Gunther, who has already left the 18 under the inside of the 23, the 50, peaking on the outside of the 23 there. The 3 truck not wasting any time either. He's going to try to make a move to get to the spot of the 50 and pass the 23 there to get the 3rd. So this isn't quite what I think Andrew Gunther wanted to see, as these 4-tire trucks start barreling toward him. So right now, again, once we hit lap 40, that's when those points are allocated. So right now they're coming to, you see a bit of a bobble there out of the 50. That's going to cause him to stack up the field a little bit. Corey Blevins, the 91 of Willie Everham, the 5, all get under him.
I think he took 2 tires last time because he gained a lot of position too.
He did take 2 tires there. We saw that not really pay off for him because he got very loose off 4, and that caused a bunch of trucks to go by him as Andrew Gunther continues to lead off turns 1 and 2 down the straightaway into 3 and 4.
Can he get it? Coming to
We'll see if he can hold it off right now. That 18 truck got a huge run. The 18 right there to And he's going to get a little bumper on him, and I don't know if he's going to have enough time, but Andrew Gunther will hold him off, and he will get this, technically the stage win there, this mid-race win there, but he will have to give that up because he's getting challenged hard by that 18 truck of Carl Hamwood there. That was a great battle we saw there. He put that truck on the bottom there, felt very reminiscent of our battle here not last season, but the season before that, season 1. We had a very close battle here. It was very reminiscent of that. So that was a great race for that those stage points there. So Carl Hamburg goes back to the front. BJ Deal battling on the inside of the 24 and the 59 for second. They are working on the outside. The 91 of Willie Everham. He's peaking here, trying to get a little higher here in the top 5 as we're under caution again. So coming down here, caution right at halfway. Take a breather.
Bryson, you disappeared.
Collect yourselves. Well, look at the situation here.
Looks like the 43 came up against 23.
I don't know why.
So Cody's checking on that as we get all gathered up here for this caution.
Push you through the traffic
I think as we get ready for
you,
these
you
pit
got
stops
through.
here, I'm sure we'll see people pit again. This is a kind of pit situation that benefits a driver like Andrew Gunther because, okay, you just played strategy and got yourself a stage win. That's awesome. That's a phenomenal run for him. But now you have the quick caution. So now you can bring that truck and have the track position and the fresh tires. So this comes down to having a flawless pit stop to maintain the track position. So for drivers like him, I think that caution here at the right time because now he locks himself in to keeping that track position. Waiting for the leaders to approach the entrance of pit road here. The 18 of Carl Hamburg is your leader, and then BJ Deal, Andrew Gunther, Corey Blevins, and Willie Everham are your top 5. And we're seeing the top 2 trucks stay out here. The first truck on pit road is Andrew Gunther there in the 59. Interesting move there. So the front truck's there, of course, on fresh tires. On the fresh tires of the last stop, they took 4. So they're staying out here, and it looks like a lot of the drivers toward the back and behind them are going to go ahead and pit. So this is going to be a situation where, okay, you're not battling for stage points, but is it too early to go ahead and start playing the strategy card and staying out here for the track position? We saw how hard it is to get to the front when you go to the back. For example, Gregory Thompson, who has struggled to get back toward the top 10. Do you try and keep that track position for as long as you can? As we see the 5 truck get out first off pit road.
Congratulations to Andrew Gunther getting those points at halfway. That was a hell of a battle, hell of a challenge from Carl. But congratulations, the strategy worked out for you.
I was going to go ahead and, since you just finished congratulating them, I'm going to go and pose that question to you. Is this the time of the race where you start playing that strategy of staying out here? Because we look at the standings here, we got about 3 trucks who did not pit. Carl Hamburg, BJ Deal, and Ezekiel Reyes. Those fast trucks we saw earlier, but is it too early to start playing strategy and maybe focusing on keeping that truck out front for as long as you can and not taking tires when everyone else does? That wasn't rhetorical. That was a question for you, actually.
I don't know, man, because I watched 59 struggle after he got passed, and then 23 and 50 weren't too tired, and they struggled. So I don't know, man. That will be wild to see what happens.
Well, we're going to see how things shake out here and look at what this means for the remainder of this race. Looking at the lap times here, like I mentioned earlier in the run, we see a lot of times getting faster here. We're starting to see some zeros now. We're starting to see some flats and some ones get clocked. So earlier in the run, we saw Carl Hamburg run a 30.154. So he's getting into the ones. And I think that came during that most recent run once that car was able to get out front. That car is very fast. I'm sorry, that truck is very fast right now. Dwayne Jarvis, he ran a 30.197. Eric Heater, he ran a 30.073. These trucks are getting faster, and the complexion of this race is beginning to change as we go along here. The temperature is 79. Like an hour ago, or just under an hour ago, we were at 100. So this track has dropped by 20 degrees.
Yeah,
And maybe we're seeing
over here.
the track that benefited a driver maybe like Gregory
Thank you,
Thompson now benefits a driver like Carl Hamrick or BJ
Are you
Deal.
on Discord? Because I can see
It's so interesting how the dynamic
Are you
weather
on there?
plays such a key role in, especially these fixed races where you can't really adjust on the truck. It comes down to the driver being able to adapt so quickly. Very interesting. I'm very intrigued to see how this plays into the later stages of this race. But looking at things here, looking at the
Seems
1
okay
to go
with what I've
signal,
heard
so
so
everyone's going to
far,
start getting
Chase.
2 by 2 through the field. Quick rundown of the top 5 is your leader, Carl Hamworth there in the 18 truck, BJ Deal in second, Ezekiel Reyes in third,
Yeah,
Dwayne
I
Jarvis in
was
fourth, and Terry Condis. Haven't talked about him much today, but he's in fifth right now. Eric Heater there in sixth, Chase Shoulder in seventh, Brad Allison in eighth, Corey Blevins falling back a little bit in ninth, and Andrew Gunther there just on the outside of the top 10. Bryson Clark trying to rebound here. Update on him because he is our champion and defending race winner. He's back there in 16th place. Gregory Thompson, who led much of the first half of this race, kind of that first quarter of the race, he's back there in 14th right now, unable to kind of get his way through traffic. So waiting for the pace car to go ahead and make that hard left turn on pit road. Like I said, this race has been very, very... It's following the script of what we saw last time we came here. Plenty of cautions, kind of short to medium run race, and the temperature changes and the track changes are really transforming what the field looks like. Pace car makes the hard left turn on the pit road. The field is under the control of Carl Hamworth, and we'll see how he handles this restarts. Everyone here getting a little bunched up. He bunches off a bit, and he gets a nice jump there, but the 04 and the 3 do not lose him very much. The 04 does get the spot there on the 3 truck. We'll see if he dives down in the 3 truck of BJ Deal. He comes down the track to get in line there behind the 04. They're basically single file right now, and then kind of double file back there, a little further back in the field. They all barrel down the back stretch, the Miller straightaway as it's known. Kind of mixing up things here, some 1 to 2 wide action there. So focus on that, again, seeing drivers like Terry Condis here. I'm looking at him because now this track looks very reminiscent of what we saw here a couple weeks ago when he had a good run here battling with Kevin Foster. He's having a good run now that we're seeing the track cool down. The track is becoming more cloud covered. Is maybe bringing the truck to where he wants it to be. So keeping an eye toward the front though. Those front 3, that Carl Hamworth, Ezekiel Reyes, and BJ Deal just able to break away so easily right here. Already just putting a nice gap between themselves and the rest of the pack here, but not trying to lose each other by too much. The 3 truck trailing there just a little bit, and the 04 right there on the back bumper of the 18. So expect there to be some mixing up here for the lead position here. This is a battle for the podium right here. Where are these drivers going to fall during the course of this run? About a few trucks back. Terry Condis back there, and Eric Heater nose to tail right there, and then 2 by 2 behind them as we all cruise in turns 3 and 4.
I really like
to go here.
Yeah, I know. I really like that Terry Condis is running forward.
I mean, if you look at the field here, he is the highest running of the drivers who ran last season, and kind of those veterans, as we call them, that's who we're referring to. Highest running of those guys right now. So strong run for him. Great way to start the season. Like I said, he's doing well in the points. He's right now coming into this race. He was in 8th place in points, tied with another driver there, 7 points out of the lead. So he's one of these drivers who's trying to keep the momentum going. He survived Daytona, and that's about keep the ball rolling here at the 28 of Eric Heater's peeking to the inside. And the challenge here is, as the driver being attacked, is to make sure you try and close that door enough that someone doesn't follow through, which is what Corey Blevins wants to do coming off turn 2. We'll see how he handles that. Comes down the track a little bit, but the 24 there is going to continue to fight for that position. They're going to be side by side going through turns 3 and 4. I said, this is what I was talking about. You know drivers are going to try and follow each other through those openings. The 24 not giving an inch. He's going to kind of ride down to that apron. They're side by side. Terry on the higher side of that track, using that right there on the white line. They're still side by side going through turns 1 and 2. The other thing this does is it does bring those other cars closer to you. So as Terry battles with Corey Blevins, the 5 truck is lurking back there. Chase Sheldon, he's lurking, watching all this unfold. Willie Abraham also seeing this. So if I'm Terry, while I don't want to get into position, if I feel like I can fight for this spot, I will try. If I get this vibe that the 24 is faster, I might be inclined to go ahead and back off, settle in line behind him, and then play protection to maybe build some space between myself and the 5 truck.
That race actually continued. Now the sun comes back out, so it's going to change everything right now.
Sun's back out. Temperature is basically the same, down to 77 here. But like we mentioned at the start of the race, the way the sun hits the track here, that can affect how this track drives. And you may be driving to a corner one lap one way, but when that sun starts hitting it, like we're seeing here on the front stretch, once it starts hitting it, it will totally change how that track feels under you and how that truck feels as you're getting through those corners. As now we're getting a solid run here, like I said, looking at the front of the field, kind of spaced out a bit. They haven't really lost each other, but they're all kind of just within a comfortable range of striking each other. That draft is keeping everyone pretty close together right now, with 28 laps to go.
We definitely have a lot of guys still running. I think all 28. One guy only retired from the race, so that's crazy.
I mean, it's a crazy race right now. I mean, there's a lot of cars in this field, and looking back toward that mid-pack area, maybe kind of, I say, ballpark at 9th place, on back to about 16th. As we see the 59 hard into the wall there, into the 43 and the 17 off turn 2, and we're under caution here again, and they are stacking up hard. A bunch of points caught up in that. That was a hard crash there, and that was one of those situations where maybe the changing conditions affecting how these trucks are handling. Because you see here, I'm looking back at the replay.
Like a 6 came straight up.
Yep, and that just sent the 59 of Andrew Gunther, who came off that stage win, mind you, right into the wall, hard into the 17. That just caused a chain reaction. Much like we said last week, where the track closes off really quickly. That happens at these mile and a halves too, where the track just closes, and sometimes you have nowhere to go, especially when these tires give up and start going.
Bryson, I need a push.
Going south. So, as we mentioned earlier, the drivers do get fast repairs. So fast repairs are a thing. So there may be a possibility that some of these drivers have been banking those fast repairs to have just in this situation to get themselves back going. I'm going to go ahead and say it now before we hit that road. Bad luck for Bryson Clark, and it just feels like it's following him so far this season. He's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was nowhere. There was nothing he could do in that situation. It just kind of happened around him, and he got collected. And that just,
what are you doing? You
don't want to get down on yourself and let that bother you as you're going through the season, but that just sucks if you're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Kind of what we saw last week at Daytona, but hoping that maybe he can pull something together here in the closing stage of this race to salvage a good finish. I'm looking toward the front. Leaders are on pit road, expecting 4 tires, plenty of fuel here. I don't know if anyone's going to try and be brave and do a 2-tire stop here. Who knows? We'll see how things shake out as they settle in to make their pit stops here. We'll keep an eye on the telemetry on our scoring.
Thank you. Same for me. 14 wasn't coming.
I just noticed that Gregory Thompson slipped through his box there, so just not able to rebound here. I feel like there's a curse for getting the pole as we see Carl Hamworth get back out front. I think there's a curse for starting on a pole, because once you start on the pole, it just seems like you start having issues and little things start building up and it just affects your run. But Carl Hamworth was able to go off pit road first and maintain his lead. Looks like the 04 there of Ezekiel Reyes gets out there behind him in second. And then BJ Deal back there in third. So right now, 25 laps to go. Basically the final 4 of this race, and right now this race has been very much what we expected. I keep saying that phrase, but it's exactly what I expected. A very, very close race that is testing the mettle of these drivers when it comes to the changing conditions. It's not a situation where the track is constantly 65, like sometimes we see in fixed rooms where there's no change in temperature and it's nice and cool and there's lots of grip. The grip levels are changing, and right now, 24 to go. Looking at the weather, I know I talk about it a lot, but it's really important to these drivers, especially in fixed races. 81 degrees, so we have come off the low of this race. They're in the 70s. Now we're back into the 80s, climbing at 82 now. So the sun is hitting the track, warming things up, and it's almost like these drivers will be facing a different handling truck every time we get out here. And it's about adaptation. It's about adapting to the situation. We're seeing how the front 3, and even drivers like Corey Blevins, Terry Condis, Chase Shoulders, they've done a good job of adapting to this track and staying toward the front. A lot of the faces you see up here got here after we saw some strategy midway through the race. But a few faces, like the
Hey,
24 there, Corey
Greg,
Blevins, he's
what
been
do you put
here
right front?
essentially most of the race.
It's going to be interesting to see how aggressive they do get, being that
Yeah, I don't see
probably
any
going to
guns
be
at all.
just
hardly.
over 20 laps left.
Alright,
If they go
appreciate it.
green,
Give me 13
literally,
seconds.
I think
Go down one.
5 minutes of racing. Maybe,
I
no,
see
less
a
than
little
that, maybe
wrinkle, but it's
10
not
minutes
bad.
racing, whatever it is. So, not much racing left. Obviously, that is if they go green, but anything is
That is
possible.
if they go green from here, that'll be the longest run of this race under green. So if that's a tall order, then I don't think we talked about this much today, but we'll go ahead and bring it up. Did fuel come into play here? Are the drivers good on fuel? What are you hearing from the drivers right now?
I'm thinking that they think that they're good.
Okay.
They have been talking a lot. I know a few guys ran a fuel, or not a fuel run, but a long run. And I talked to some guys who got to like 15 laps. So I'm thinking that they're good to go. They have what they need. And
Hey, who are the calls about?
All right. Okay, so kind of with that information, I think that's going to dictate what we see here. People are going to be more. I think we're going to see some aggression here. I'm going to go ahead and make the call now. That's not the last caution we have. There will probably be another one because I think we're at that 20 lap mark. We're coming up on 20 to go here very shortly as they come down the backstretch here in the caution. It's go time. It's time to go. If you know your truck is strong enough to run at the front, it's time to get it up there and get it up there fast. You don't want drivers like Carl Hamworth, Ezekiel Reyes, BJ Deal, or even Corey Blevins, Terry Condon. You don't want those guys to kind of get nose to tail and drive away from you while you're battling to try and get the track position for someone else. So it's go time. You have to get going now as we wait for the pace car to make that hard left turn on the pit road.
we're going to have, what, 22 laps to go?
Basically 22 to go. The field back under the control of Carl Hamworth. We'll see how he handles this restart here. So they bring the field a little bit together there, not quite as bunched up as they were earlier. Everyone makes that dive to the inside. So we see the 18, the 04 to 3, all single filing it up here. Then a little bit of double wide action behind them. So we see the 04 really try to make a run there to get that spot from the 18. He's right on his bumper as they sail down into the Nellis straightaway. Nose to tail right now. Again, we're not at Daytona, but it sure looks like we are. As
They're
he is
pushing each other. Oh my god.
They know that there are extremely fast cars in this group of cars here. There's a herd of fast cars behind them, and it's in their best interest to maybe not be battling side by side at this close to them. Because as I mentioned earlier, we start battling side by side. It's a very slow process of passing someone here. As we see the 18 slap just a hair. The 04 is going to make a challenge there off turn 2. They're side by side down the straightaway there.
You're getting a lot
So-
more race here.
It's go time. You got to get going now. And like I said, we got drivers like BJ Deal and Corey Blevins who just kissed the apron. They got a little tight there.
11, come on.
All watching this unfold. So the more you're battling side by side with someone, especially as you're the leader, as we have another caution here, I told you that was not going to be the last one. I'll finish my point. As you're battling side by side for a position there, it's limiting how far you can pull away from these guys in this pack here. So back under caution with 20 laps to go. We'll wait for see what Cody knows about what happened there.
The 11 got loose.
Feel like we're running this entire race under caution. It's pretty ridiculous.
See, I'm just getting caught up myself. I was watching the leaders there, so got loose and oh, was that Kevin Foster who just got that hard hit there off turn 4?
This week.
Yeah, that was it. A3 and like he just got just
EOL.
doored him, just really T-boned him off turn 4 again. What did I call that? I call that the calamity tri-oval there. Just that's where the action is happening. That's where those incidents are occurring right there off that corner. That sucks for drivers like Kevin Foster who got to the front to lead some laps, but yet again, wrong place, wrong time for the veterans. Yet again, another veteran caught up in a incident where they were just kind of a passenger. When a car wrecks like that off that corner, your car maybe is pushing a bit, you just have nowhere really to go. So, back under caution, 19 laps to go. They only pitted about 7 laps ago, so we're going to see what the drivers decide to do. Now you start playing around with pit strategy, because when you go green, it's probably going to be about 15 to go.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what the drivers do here. See the 04 making the late decision, and he brings the rest of the field with him. They stay out right now, and I'll keep an eye on to see if anyone else has a pit. Looks like the 23 will be the first among the cars to go ahead and hit pit road. So a lot of the leaders decided to go ahead and stay out here.
It's gonna be interesting to see how these tires handle on the restart.
Well, this won't be unusual territory for some drivers. We did have a few drivers during the course of the race here 2 weeks ago who have stayed out before, maybe have an understanding of how it drives, but also drivers who've done it this race where they were able to stay up there and run for position. Here's what's different about that, though. Earlier in the race, it was only a couple of cars who took that strategy. We saw Andrew Gunther take no tires, stay out completely, and we saw another truck there, I want to say it was Jeffrey Meyer, take 2 tires during that run, and they faded, but Andrew Gunther was able to maintain the spot and get that stage win. But that was with, if you think about it, with only like 2 laps to go. We still have about, when we go green, probably closer to 15 laps to go. So in any event, that's asking a lot of your tires if you're going to stay out here and push it. But if everyone else is in the same boat with you, then it's not so bad. It's kind of like, well, we're all in the same ship together, so may as well try and ride this out. I think it presents more of a challenge to people who do pit, which we didn't see a lot of takers during that caution. It will present more of a challenge to them to try and get back to the front. Again, we're going to go and highlight some drivers here. Gregory Thompson, the class of the field early in the race, really hasn't made a run back toward the front, even though he does have one of the fastest times in this room at a 30.075. So he's still fast, but just not able to overcome the traffic. Nick Miller, very fast. If I'm looking at the standings, just glancing them briefly, ran the fastest lap in the race at a 30.08, nearly a 30 flat. But he's marred back there in 15th, just not able to get through the field because it seems like when you restart here, you're kind of just, you can only get so many positions here because of the nature of racing on this track, where there's just not a lot of room to pass, and once the tires fall off, you're kind of just hoping for the mistake of the driver in front of you, like we've seen maybe for the battle for the lead and things like that.
Now we're gonna have, looks like 15 to go when we get green and the track doesn't get cloudy.
Hey, bro, are you okay after that wreck?
Right, again, this track is picking up here.
Nick,
I know I love going through numbers and looking at things, but I think it provides a great picture for who the threats are, but also in contrast of where they're running on the track. We just had our first inside the 29's lap time, but that driver's in 18th place. That's Russell McCarron, who was running at the front earlier, but now coming to green, about with 15 to go. That is a tall order to try and get by that many cars to get to the front to try and make a run for this race win here tonight. I think for drivers like Ezekiel Reyes, Carl Hamworth, and BJ Deal, even Corey Blevins, I think for them, having those drivers back there in the back helps their cause because they know maybe they can battle amongst themselves and try and get this win and maybe guarantee themselves a top 5 as opposed to maybe a top 6 or a top 7. The fewer fast cars you have around you, the better for you as a fast car.
We're going to see how this restart goes. And we saw the newer 4 of Ezekiel Reyes really challenge Carl Hamworth.
That was a great battle there. That was probably one of the more exciting battles we saw here because he just, I don't know if like he misread the sign on the front of the track where he thought it said Daytona, Nevada International Speedway, but this is not Daytona. But he was bump drafting and pushing that truck ahead of him to pull away and then made the move to get the lead. So don't count him out right now. That truck is looking fast and it's stout, and these weather conditions seem to be suiting that top 3 right now.
15 to go. We're only going to have a chance maybe to do more caution in this race. None of us are going to beat it.
Now let's remember here, our longest run is roughly about 15 or so laps here under green. So as the sun gets hella bright off the corner, waiting for the pace car to make its left turn on the pit road to feel back in the control of Ezekiel Reyes. See how he handles this restart as they come to green with 15 laps to go. He immediately makes that gentle left turn to the apron, try and get that track position. The 3 truck of BJ Deal makes that move on the inside of Carl Hamworth. And we got a battle for the who wants to sit where in the top 5 right now as these trucks jockey for position and as Ezekiel Reyes pulls away.
Yeah, the teammate looking underneath Carl Hamworth at 28 or Peter.
Kind of a gap there with 6th place Chase Shoulder and then just a whole stable of cars behind them. But yet again, what we're seeing here is what we've been seeing kind of all race. Those front few cars can break away, and even if they're battling, they're able to drive away from the rest of the pack. And it's really a interesting move here as we see, like I said, some great lap times here, just very fast. Ezekiel Reyes. Looks like a lot of people are starting to really get a handle of their trucks right now. It's just great to see these times coming down. It's like they're really driving these trucks as hard as they can with the closing stage of this race. Right ahead of them. The 28 truck of Eric Heater, though. Look at him moving up into second. I haven't really talked about him much, but he's kind of been lurking there in the top 10 much of the race.
Eric Heater actually had to go to the back and they're getting into his teammate, Ezekiel Reyes. So it's funny how these two are running 1-3 right now.
Yeah, I think this is going to continue to be a battle for position here as we see the 24 truck of Corey Blevins work on the inside there of Eric Heater. There's just going to be a battle for these positions, I think, through the remainder of this race. And we see the 18 there trying to make that kind of that left turn, make a slight crossover move there. He just kind of stays high instead. So the 24 working into the 28 there. They are very close to each other as they roll through the tri-oval into turns 1 and 2. We'll see what the 18 truck decides to do there on the 28. But all this is kind of music to the ears of Ezekiel Reyes, who wants to see these guys battling for those positions instead of trying to chase him down. I think the only one's kind of focused on that are maybe BJ Deal and maybe the 28, but he can't shake that 18 right now, so he needs to get the job done and maybe get away from the 18, but the 18 needs to get clear.
Wide for, looks like 7th place.
That's a battle there. We see the 6 there get really loose on the apron. He's wiggling there. He's trying to save it. Great. Still sideways through turns 1 and 2.
He saved it. Wow.
Puts it on the apron there. Able to save it. That's unfortunate for him that situation occurred, but a great save by him to keep that truck from coming back across the track and probably collecting a lot of competitors there going into turn 1. Looking back toward the front, we still see them battling for that position. That's about the 3rd spot. If the camera is not lying to me there, that sure is. The 28 and the 18 with the 24 watching all this unfold as we are at 10 laps to go here. This was a fast race, but it ain't over yet.
It looks like the 18 lost a lot of ground, but he's coming. He's still there.
He's still there, and like I said, he's just lost a spot there. What's happening, like I said, these tires are old. A lot of these drivers didn't pit, so the tires are beginning to go through that cycle where they just don't feel as grippy, and you start sliding on you, you start pushing up the track. But it's all about keeping that truck wound up. You don't want to let off that momentum and lose it through these corners, especially getting off the corners. So you want to run as low as you can. We're noticing there, I think flip the apron there a bit, the 28 there, sliding on a bit. Might set up for a 3 wide situation. 24 peaking, he's looking. So he thought about it, he falls back just a hair, but he's still right there on the inside. If anything happens between these two trucks, they are side by side. Nearly some contact there between the 18 and the 28. 24 watching all this unfold. Hopefully not having any flashbacks to what happened last week through that section of track where these cars are touching. Probably playing a very careful game here at cat and mouse, waiting for the right opportunity to try and make a move there. See the 18 there, touching that white line a bit, sliding up. They're still side by side in front of the 24, and they're nose to tail for first and second right now.
I gotta cut you short for a second, but we got a huge battle for 7th. We got like 10 guys.
We got battles everywhere on this track right now with only 7 laps to go. There are battles everywhere. Go ahead and highlight some of the stuff you're seeing right now.
As we look at Chase Shoulder. Where did he come from? We always talk about he rides in the back and waits till the last bit. As we see the 18 get a little loose, and he gets into the 24. 24 is gonna get out of the wall.
That's what we've been seeing all race in that section of the track right now. Cars clipping that apron, really trying to maximize that low side, but just being unable to handle it and just kind of hitting that white line and just chasing you up the track, and you're kind of along for the ride, and you either have to let off and give it a spot or try and basically throw a block to keep that truck behind you. So we saw that kind of happen there where he got a little high and got into that 24 truck. We'll see if he tries to close that gap and maybe try and get back to 5th and get to the 5 truck in 5th, Chase Shoulder. But yeah, there are battles all over this track as things get really dicey back toward the back of the field. As
52 guys will almost wreck everybody.
I said 5 to go here. Ezekiel Reyes here in the 04 Sun Energy Chevrolet. BJ Deal not far behind in his Toyota, chasing him down. 5 to go, and then about 4 trucks all back there nose to tail trying to close the gap. Looking at the scoring data, looks like about the top 6 are within a second of each other. So you could pretty much throw a blanket over these guys, and they are running very fast times among this group here. Some of the strongest times we've seen throughout the course of this race. But they're like BJ Deal had a little issue there, lost some ground there on Ezekiel Reyes, and that's backed him back to the rest of the group there as we're under caution here, and that might that step cycle around here. I think that's going to bring an end to our race, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, why didn't we just race that out? Sorry.
Waiting for race control. I might be wrong there, but looks like they still have to come around and get the pace car. I think that might bring an end to our race here because, yet again, as iRacing does not provide us with an overtime rule, that brings things to an end. It looks like Ezekiel Reyes was able to hang on and be able to capture victory here, of course, unless he runs out of gas or something magically, which I don't know that that's likely, but that's a thing. Oh, yeah, 3 to go here.
Unfortunately, guys, I don't run it out. You know, caution. Yeah, it happened in the back impact, but it has to be thrown. Last caution was on a 34. But I'm pretty sure it's the end of the race right here, unless we magically get one lap. But if not,
it should be the end of the race. We'll go ahead. Yeah, that was it's unfortunate we can't run it out. That's just beyond our control. The way we administer things here, that's just kind of beyond our control here. But look at the top 5 here. I mean, a lot of these trucks were not here at the start of this race. I mean, I'm looking at the grid up here. Listen to the order of the gridding here for the top 5 as they run now. 18th, 7th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 6th place, 3rd, 1st. So a lot of those guys who were back toward the back made their way to the front and were able to stay there over the course of this race. Whereas some drivers we saw that qualified toward the front. Gregory Thompson, your pole sitter, he finished 8th. Russell McCarron, 5th. 2nd place starter, your outside pole, Willie Everham, 15th. So just really shows, especially how short this race was, how important track position is, and kind of trying to keep yourself in the right position and having flawless pit stops. That's kind of the storylines here this race, and we saw drivers like Ezekiel, BJ, Carl, Chase, Corey have very strong runs and were able to keep themselves at the front of the field the longest.
We're gonna
no problem. Yeah, it was
bring
good fun.
in. We gotta try to see if
I gotta go back and look at it. We were 3 wide for almost 2 laps in a row.
He's not in Discord right now.
You're funny. Hope you're fun, buddy.
Hey Ezekiel, do you think you can hop over in Discord for a second?
Hey, up here in a moment.
Alright, we'll try to get our race winner in here and talk to him.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah,
when
go
you
ahead
can
and
do 3
wind
wide
things
like
down
that
here
and
a
not
bit.
wreck.
Now that the race is kind of settling out. Like I said, that race was very reminiscent of what we saw here last week, but with a larger field, obviously. Looking at the score, it looks like there should be about 18 or so cars here in the lead lap. Mine's really had 15 cars to start the race last week. So. But with the larger field, we saw a similar outcome where the racing was very intense. It resulted in pretty short runs. I was expecting maybe to see a longer green run, maybe a 20 to 25 lap run, but that really never materialized because I feel as the truck began to go away from the drivers, you started seeing drivers have to attack the track in different ways. And thus that kind of puts some drivers in positions they maybe don't want to be in and creates the situation that we've seen here that results in a lot of these cautions.
I figured you were PO,
So,
but I thought maybe we were racing 3 wide or something. I was like, holy cow.
a lot of your front 5, even your front 7, even though Gregory Thompson had some issues. He had a great run at the beginning.
I was trying to apologize.
You saw those guys play it smart and do a good job of staying out of trouble to get a good finish here. So great job by Gregory Thompson to rebound, get to 8th. Great job by Jeffrey Meyer to rebound and get to 7th. So
Him and Chase Shoulder with the top 5. Great job by him and Carl Hamburg, 2
Yeah, I
weeks in a
kind
row,
of looked
top 5.
down
So.
and I saw, I was like, all right.
And
He's
BJ
making a
Deal
name.
running well also.
And then I completely destroyed
making a name
you.
for himself, especially those guys glancing at the top 5 right now.
Good win. Yeah, I'm quite glad that
These guys who ran well at Daytona, they're making a name to say that was not a fluke last week at Daytona.
No way.
I'm the real deal. I'm the real deal here.
Alright guys, well thank you guys for coming out, I really appreciate it. Big field for Las Vegas, hopefully I get the same for Dover next week. Congratulations Ezekiel, just get in Discord when you can. Great interview, interview a few guys, so congratulations, thank you guys for coming out, really appreciate everything you guys do. There is a replay of The stream will be up on Twitch and then up on YouTube, so you guys can watch it afterwards. But I appreciate everything, guys.
Thank you, Cody, for what you do. We appreciate having the room to come racing, man.
Because of that last one there, Cody. Thank you, Cody.
Sorry. Again, sorry.
As a
for
Las
your
Vegas
time,
runner, you burn it down wherever you feel like it. So good run by
You're good,
him.
man.
Really made a claim to show why he needed to win that race, and did a good job there. So good for him.
And we see him come around with his teammate, the 28 of Eric Heater. They did a great job. Great job running first and third.
Great race.
So I think while we get
Good
everything
win.
settled down, and well, maybe try to get a couple drivers, maybe one or two drivers in here to talk about what they were seeing, maybe three. I think now we have a picture of who some of these forces here in the league will be. So Carl Hamwork, obviously, Ezekiel Reyes, BJ Deal. These are guys who shouldn't be trifled with. I think that they should be really seen as threats going into the remainder of this season. They are not to be messed around with. They looked very strong here throughout the running of this race. And going into Dover, a track where it kind of has that speed of a track like this, but the nature of a short track with the very close quarters and the beating and banging, it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers handle that kind of racing surface, as maybe they aren't in the points position they want to be in right now. Like a lot of veterans from last season aren't having the greatest of runs right now. So how are they going to respond to this and try and take down some of these new faces here in the All-Star Racing League?
It's going to be interesting to see exactly what happens and how it works out. But actually, I'm going to bring in BJ Deal while we wait for Ezekiel Reyes to get on Discord. We'll bring him in. Hey, BJ, you got a copy? Can you hear us? BJ, copy? Yes? No?
Has BJ already gone to the casino? I guess so.
I guess so. I guess
I mean, you got a week till Dover, so...
Yeah, let's see. We're going to try to bring him one more time. You got a copy now, BJ? Yep. All right, there we go. So, you ran well again. You ran well last week. You didn't have a good finish. Well, you had a decent, but you were a force to be reckoned with. And then this week, you were definitely a force to be reckoned with. Just didn't work out to get the win, but you definitely passed. So how did you feel your race went?
It went really well. I mean, the best thing to do when it gets that longer is just stay in the draft, to stay in touch with the leaders. But yeah, when the tires got warm, that was some really good racing. I felt like that was some of the best racing of the day. But I gave Ezekiel all I had, and he drove a great race. It was hard to get by him.
Yeah, he definitely seemed like he was hard. He made a bold move against Carl to get the lead and just held it ever since. I mean, how do you think this will help you moving forward? You know, in a league, going to all these different tracks. Now we're gonna have a mile and a half in 2 weeks. We're gonna have Dover next week. I know you didn't run last season, but you ran the first season and you were great there. So how do you think that's gonna propel you going forward?
It's all about confidence, and that's going to give me a ton of confidence going into Dover in the next few weeks. That's what I needed after Daytona. Daytona was great. It just ended up getting wrecked, and it didn't really help my confidence a little bit. But this definitely helped my confidence a little bit. So I think that's the best answer I can give there.
All right, cool. Mike, you got anything for him?
I just want to bring up last time you were here back in season 1, you were a force to be reckoned with on these kind of mile and a half tracks, and we're seeing that again here. So what do you think, why do these tracks benefit your driving style? Like you seem really comfortable out there, these kind of tracks.
That's good to know, because I actually kind of consider myself not a good mile and a half racer. But yes, I mean, the mile and a halves are great. There's some tracks of schedule I go, oh no, I'm not going to run very well at. But the mile and a halves are great. I feel like I can run really well at those. But the competition's tough at mile and a halves. You know, it takes a lot of skill to drive these tracks. And yeah, the mile and a halves definitely I circle on the calendar, and that can really help me move up in the standings, maybe even get a win one of these times.
Well, you got about 2 weeks before we go to Texas, so you got to get through Dover first. So look forward to seeing what you do there.
All right, then I'm gonna practice that Dover here real quick.
Yeah. So get some practice in, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you guys.
No problem. All right, let's bring in Ezekiel Reyes. Actually, did hop in Discord, the race winner.
Oh my gosh, man! Can't
Ezekiel
believe.
Reyes, as you're
Oh
still
my goodness,
as you're
man!
still winding down from that win. Congratulations, first win for you in ASR. So great race for you, definitely great. You had a strong truck, and that was a hell of a move you made on Carl Handwerk to position yourself to lead and just stay out front. So talk us through that move and talk us through what you know going through your mind, even when you got wrecked by your own teammate, not on purpose but on accident, and trying to get back up there and then just ultimately winning.
Yeah, man. Man, this truck was really, really strong from the start. I knew I had a chance to go out and prove these guys I'm better than most of them. Not to brag about my ego or anything like that. But anyway, um, I'm just so excited. I couldn't believe I stuck the truck to the inside and made the pass. I with like all the with the tires wearing out really quickly. I tried to shove myself in there, just hope for the best, and it stuck surprisingly. So. And I nosed ahead, and luckily the caution came out, and I was like, oh, well, this plays into my hands. So the rest of the way, I stayed out, and that's all she wrote.
Oh, Mike, do you have anything for our race winner?
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and ask. You do remember you're not at Daytona, right? You're at Las Vegas. We saw you up there kind of pushing to get to the front there. Talk about that. That was a power move to get to the front there.
Yeah, clean air means a lot here. Once you get your truck out front, or like with clean air and stuff, you could set sail really nicely. And I'm really nice on long runs, not on short runs though. I was terrible on the short runs. I would get getting past and stuff, but luckily I played myself staying out and getting myself in clean air, and that's all she wrote.
So, one last question. How do you carry this momentum from a 1.5 mile to a 1 mile track like Dover? How do you get ready for that kind of race?
Well, Dover's a tricky track, so I'll go ahead and log as many practice laps as I can, and hopefully we could go and make it 2 in a row next week.
All right. Well, good luck to you, sir. Look forward to seeing what you do at Dover.
All right, man. 10-4. Thank y'all.
No problem. We'll call it. Probably. Do we have anybody else in here?
Yeah, if one more will be good, and we can probably wrap things up.
Terry Condis. What about that? Do that. He was running well.
We were all looking at that.
Terry Condis.
How's it going, sir?
You were running well today. I gotta say, you impressed us, and I guess that help from 2 weeks ago at Las Vegas. It really propelled you to run well, and you were running decent for quite a bit there. So.
Yeah, I knew I wasn't as fast as everybody, so I kind of played the pinching game on most of the people underneath me. Sorry, Blevins. There was, I did what I had to do. I tried. I did give it when people were faster than me. At the end, though, I did kind of screw up and ran into 2 guys and didn't realize the caution was out. But we're not going to discuss that, right? This isn't live or nothing, I hope.
No, I don't think it's live or anything, no.
Oh, man, dude. But, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it seemed like you guys were having a blast out there. You guys were racing really hard. You didn't really do what you normally do, ride in the back and then wait. You kind of like got up there and solidified yourself there. I think you did use some strategy by staying out at one point, got yourself in the top 5, and then kind of just consistently stayed there for a little bit. So strategy definitely played a big deal. We saw a few guys take 2 tires, didn't work out for them. They were getting all over the place, but.
Yeah, some of my teammates did that, and they were telling us no, it was not so good. Other people said it worked out okay. I'm out.
But Mike, you got anything to add for Mr. Condis?
Well, I'm just gonna say, like you were running well out there, and like I said, how did it feel to be kind of up there, showing the new drivers that the veterans of the league were just as fast as you're just as fast and should not be counted out of these races. How'd that feel?
It was nice to be up towards the front again. It's a lot of competition out there, so it's difficult. Everybody's really close. I did what I could to keep myself up front, not saying I benefited anybody, but I did do a little bit of pinching. I did my
Ever joined by Jonathan Platt, who comes in here.
Oh, no, we were discussing stuff earlier. I played my game. I was trying to run I knew the outside line's a little bit slower, but at the same time, if the other guy on the inside could not come up, he was a lot slower. So, I played my position. Sometimes I didn't realize I was 3 wide. It was that was tough. But other than that,
we're glad you enjoyed it, and glad you guys had fun. You too, John. You guys definitely. Well, everybody put on a show. It was great racing.
It was great racing throughout the field.
It was a lot of fun. I could really tell you that it's a track position game now with these trucks.
Oh yeah, they definitely seem like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you get behind the ball at all, I mean, it's hard to get back to the front. But I mean, it was a hell of a
with I think Greg, where he pitted and he just couldn't get back up there.
Yeah, it was a hell of a dogfight back there, and it was a lot of great racing. I mean, we were using each other up, but we were kind of keeping it straight. And like Terry said, you got to do what you got to do, man. He did what he had to do, and he kept me back there. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking race this season for myself, and I got to figure out how to run points. Is my biggest issue.
Consistency, man. You're doing good.
No, I can't figure out how to do stages. Is my issue.
All right, well, guys, we're gonna end the stream right here as we finish race 2, and we're gonna keep John and Terry in here as we do this send off. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to Dover. I can't wait to see what the drivers bring to that race. That's going to be. You thought this was kind of exciting. It's going to be very interesting to see how these guys handle those trucks at that track. So I'm looking forward highly to see how the drivers approach running at Dover Downs.
I'm excited to see how the draft plays an effect with also the bad tire wear that's there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited to see if I can make it around the track.
Aren't we all?
Well, we'll figure out what happens next week, and we'll go from there.
Can't wait to see y'all next week.
Sounds good. Mike, I can't wait to do a broadcast with you next week, and can't wait to see you guys race again.
Yep. Yet again, thank you guys for broadcasting.
Oh, no problem.
Thanks very much.
All right, Cody, you can close us out?
Yep, I'll catch you guys on the other side.
All-Star Racing.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you.